Greetings once again. I'm very delighted to welcome you to our first roundtable panel titled Stories of Becoming Women Rising in Their Own Way. With me, I have an impeccable roster of panelists who are going to tell us who they are briefly, because I believe we have a lot to cover. And I will begin with you, Debbie. Please tell us who you are and what inspired you to be here.
Yeah, my name is Debbie O'Connell. I own two companies. One is called Live Positive. The other one is called Golf Positive. So I'm in the Ladies Professional Golf Association as part of my career, and I use the game of golf to help transform lives. I also speak in corporate America. I have a new book coming out that I'm just finishing, and that was a journey of persistence for me, for sure. And I am excited to be here because I love to share stories and inspire others to be the best they can be, and realize how special each and every person is inside, and we need to bring that out because you are a light in the world, and the more you become your authentic self and you find your passions, the more you lift others. So thank you for
Well,
having me.
yes, Debbie, congratulations on your new book. We can't wait to hear more. And you're welcome. Dr. Nehal, please tell us who you are.
Hello, everyone. I'm really pleased to be here with you today. I'm Egyptian and I'm here from Bahrain. So I'm a business professor at the Royal University for Women, the one and only university for women in the Kingdom of Bahrain. I'm a single mom. I'm a practitioner as well as an educator. I mentor students and the alumni in their businesses, their startups. I believe I'm a key player in the ecosystem here in Bahrain, and I've been the winner of the Women of the Year award in entrepreneurship and education last year. I've been in Bahrain for the past 10 years, and I think I have an impact, and I would love to spread the word more about it and inspire more women as well as men, indirectly, but mainly women from my place at the Women University. And of course, and I'm a single mom of 3 kids. So,
Dr. Nehal, we greet you and we welcome you from Bahrain. You are in the right place, and congratulations for your award. Justine, over to you briefly. Who are you and why are you here?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I am Justine Clarke, and so I am a builder and a steward. And I'm a product and AI leader, but mainly someone who has navigated both structure and uncertainty. So corporate systems, entrepreneurial spaces, and I've seen how often women are asked to adapt, sometimes without having that support, even internally. And so, what inspires me to be here is a few things. The season that we're in right now, technology is accelerating, especially for women. Um, and I do believe that when it comes to being a leader in this space, it's not just about keeping up, it's really about staying anchored. And so, I'm here because my own journey teaches me that becoming, it isn't about arriving at like a title, it's
Mm.
really about these intentional shifts that allow us to lead with confidence, wisdom, integrity, especially in this fast moving space. So, very excited for the conversation. I'm an AI consultant and founder of WeCreate Hub, and definitely believe that when it comes to leadership in an automated world, we need more discernment, more resilience, and clarity.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for conversation with women who are willing to lead with that clarity and who are willing to build out loud as they're becoming.
Yes, Justine, you're very welcome. We're very happy to have you here. Danielle, over to you.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here. My name is Danielle Roberts. I am from the greater Philadelphia area in the States. And I am a future of work speaker, consultant, and content creator. I'm also known as the anti-career coach online, and I try and de-influence people from hustle culture. And ultimately, I'm on a mission to build a more human-first future of work. I think many of us, what we've been taught about success and achievements is outdated. So I'm trying to create a new world that's rooted in people's humanity. And I'm excited to be here today because we are long overdue for a world where women lead no matter where we are from. So I'm excited to be
Yes.
here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And you are in the right place. This is GatherVerse, Humanity First is our way of living. And panelists, shall we begin? All right, all right, all right. You know, I've had your stories, I've had your introductions, and they're quite impressive. And I'm here to suck in all the wisdom that I can learn from you. And I will begin with you, Danielle. How is becoming understood beyond personal achievement? And anyone who wants to chime in can chime in. Danielle.
Sure. So I think becoming understood beyond personal achievement starts with learning to understand ourselves and understanding like who we were before the world taught us who we should be. When we're really young, one of the first questions that we're asked is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that roots our worth in our career from day one. And our caregivers, our teachers, based on how we respond. You could say, I want to be an artist, and they'll say, oh, well, there's no money in that. But if you say, I want to become a doctor or a lawyer, people are like, yes, that's great. Like there's money in that. And, go on that path. And I think after that, as we enter school and the workforce, we are just like reinforced with this idea that our work equals our worth. And I think becoming understood beyond those achievements and what we're achieving in the external world starts with getting curious about what our values are, how we feel in our work on the day to day, and the impact that we ultimately want to make on society or the world at large through our work. So it's really, giving yourself permission to say, you know what, maybe some of the story that I've been taught about achievements isn't necessarily true, and figuring out what success means to us.
Yes, absolutely. And I resonate with that. I'm sure everyone was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And definitely we would have doctor, nurse, artist, no. And thank you for beautifully putting that out, because I believe the new generation is now experiencing a disruption, and the time to ask someone to be a doctor or anything is very past by time. There's so much diverse things to do. Who else wants to chime in on that? Debbie, I see you ready for that. Please kick it off. Your mic, please. Your mic, kindly unmute.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. My internet was a little bit unstable. I didn't hear the final question.
Oh, it's how is becoming understood beyond personal achievement?
Oh my gosh, it's so much more than the achievement. It's who you become on the journey, right? We set goals, we have visions, we know where we want to go in life. And when you achieve it, if you haven't grown along the way, it's almost a disappointment. It can be unfulfilling. So as we go through setting goals and having challenges, but the first book I wrote, I was struggling. I kept self-sabotaging. Every time I would work on my book, I would find something else to do. I would get distracted. And I had to dig deep into become someone different, have different beliefs, because I had a belief I wasn't smart. And my brain was protecting me, saying, well, you're not smart enough. Don't put a book out because everyone will know you're a dummy. So my brain was protecting me. So instead, I had to become a person who believed in myself, who knew I have all the intelligence I need to be successful. So when you think about when you set a goal, who do you need to become to achieve the goal? And it's about that journey that is so impactful in life.
Yes, Debbie, I'm listening to you, and I have a very follow-up question. We have these voices in our heads. Like, for example, you have that voice that say you're not intelligent enough for writing a book. How do you overcome that voice? There's someone who wants to write a book, wants to start a company, but they still have that voice inside them. How do they just overcome that voice?
Well, that voice really comes from your belief system. So I created a belief. So what I did was start to analyze, when did I first believe that? And I realized there was this moment when I was in school in second grade, that the teacher pointed out in front of everyone else that I didn't get as many 100% on my spelling test as anyone else in the class. And I felt embarrassment and shame, and it sealed a belief of I'm not smart. Everyone else is smarter than me. So I had to go back to that. And then I, instead of finding proof that that was true, I started to find proof of the opposite. Well, wait, I did really well in high school, and I had good grades, and I went to college, and I graduated college, and I started my own business, and I became a master certified in NLP. Like, I did things that prove I am intelligent. Now, maybe my memory's not as good as other people, and I came up with a different belief that was I have all of the intelligence I need to be successful. So if the thoughts are there, challenge, when did I first believe the negative, and then start to find proof of the opposite, and then
Yes.
find a great new belief that you can repeat over and over, and that will transform you.
That is beautifully highlighted, and I think we've all learned something. Thank you, Debbie. Dr. Nehal and Justine, I'm coming to you. What strategies do women employ to advance to positions of leadership in an automated world? Dr. Nehal, go
Okay,
ahead.
let me start relating to Debbie's comment. Debbie's story. When I was young, I come from a very strong academic family, and they were all very much achievers, if we want to put it this way. And being in school, sometimes I doubted my knowledge, that I never raised my hand at times. And then when other students answered, I found that, you know what, I knew the answer, but I wasn't sure, I wasn't confident enough. And I believe this actually is a situation where we all have faced sometimes throughout life. And the thing is, of course, self discovery and exploring our own competencies and potential is really important. And maybe trying to speak more often, communicate more often what you know, who you are, what are you dreaming about. It's not easy speaking up, it's not easy putting it on paper. It's not easy talking in front of anyone. So this is a challenge that we have to maybe train ourselves as well as our kids and the younger generation. Now they are more bold, but maybe not about their own personal feelings. I feel that sometimes they're bold about the wrong things. They're not bold about what their dreams and how they feel, and this is very much important. So being a leader or becoming a leader starts by knowing yourself, understanding yourself well, and communicating this to others. And again, trying to find the right support team, support group, like expressing yourself in front of the right people. Seek advice, seek help whenever is needed, because sometimes we're arrogant, sometimes we're shy, sometimes we're proud, especially if we're females. I face this with my daughter, for instance. I tell her, speak up, ask for help. No, I'm not, I don't need anyone. And I'm still like working. It's a work in progress. So we're still working on that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
so
Please go on.
so so the thing is, especially in an automated world, I'm a business professor. Of course, we all need technology, and of course it's now inevitable. But the thing is, we need to again know exactly what we know and know what we don't know, and we just identify where the gap is, and we seek help, or we seek somebody else to fill in such a gap, and try. It's a continuous process of learning, in like improvement, and getting to know other information and tools to survive. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Dr. Nehal, I was listening to you, and what stood out for me is understanding what you know and what you don't know. That really adds depth to our conversation. Justin, over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doctor, for sharing, and Lynn for the question. I will continue expanding off of what the doctors shared, which is knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know. And what comes to mind for me here to your question about how women advance in an automated world, is that when people hear automation, a lot of times they think acceleration.
Mm,
Um, and I have a counter kind of take to that, if you will, where that I do believe that the leaders who are really going to rise and who are rising are those who can kind of slow the room down ask better questions and think about how we're guiding responsibly with automation, with AI solutioning. Um, and I would also then say that the way in which, for me, it drives back to being anchored. So being anchored, and then also continuing to increase in discernment. As a being anchored, I'm Jamaican from origin, and a lot of that means that you're surrounded by like family and your people. And I think that's very helpful when it comes to being anchored. And then to the second point of discernment, when you're in a world where like you can do every and all things, and increasingly that is happening, right? The skill set and the sharpening of discernment is really what's going to, I believe, set women apart, set people apart, um, and like have us build a world that have us steward a world, if you will. That's my word, I think, for this quarter. Like, how am I stewarding my gifts? How am I stewarding what I do? But that discernment is going to help us steward going forward in that automated world.
Yes, Justine, that's a great insight, and just a little bit of curiosity. What's the character of the person who slows down the room? What's the character of the person who says, "Can we just slow down? We're moving too fast." How does that person look like?
Absolutely. No, it's a fantastic question. So, can we just slow down? I would say that the character of this person is like they very much value and understand the importance of trust, right? As we're all talking, you know, we're talking about how do you also like remain human centered, if you will, in this increasingly automated world, tech driven world. And so I would say the character of this person is just like, I do want to foster trust. I would also say that they're built on clarity, and they have a sense of resilience around them. So clarity because you don't want to just go after every and anything, right? And that discernment part of it. And their character is with that on integrity because they value trust, because they value how they show up, how they steward again the gifts
Yes,
and what they're outputting. Absolutely.
well, that's well said. Thank you so much for sharing the insight. Let me just go to the next question, and I'm coming to you, Danielle. What internal shifts precede visible change? What needs to shift in us before the world can see it?
Oh, so much. Debbie talked before about the self beliefs that we have, and many times we wait until we feel ready or feel confident. But ready isn't a feeling; it's a decision, and it's very much about building that confidence and that self trust along the way. So I think the first thing is just noticing that you want something different and then giving yourself permission to want it, um, to realize that you don't have it all figured out and that's okay. To realize that mistakes and failure are part of the process. And Justine talked about resilience being a quality of leadership and being able to get back up and try again. And through that experience, through the process of becoming with whatever you're showing up to do, that's when the visible changes on the external world really start to show up. It's like, oh, I can do this. I can fail and continue to move forward and it's going to be okay. I can make a mistake and, I'm not, that the world isn't over.
Yes.
So I think it's really about, allowing yourself to want something different, trying things, experimenting, because when we think about achievement, it is not about that goal. It's about how we want to feel in the pursuit of that goal, the process of becoming toward it.
That was captured very well, the process of becoming it. And, I just took a note down. Being ready is a decision, right? That hit me. Justin, do you have something to add on this?
I feel like Daniel covered it really well. I'd say internal shifts are also, I had a conversation with a girlfriend recently, and she was saying, be like brutally honest with yourself, right? She told me that sometimes we write our journals out as if someone is going to find it and read it, because honestly, that happened in life. Like, parents found it and read it, or partners, boyfriends, what have you. And so there's a sense of like a guarding of your own thoughts and your own limiting beliefs and things. That is an exercise that I am honestly going through even now, which is be like the most truthful, honest that you can with yourself, and even in writing, face those fears. And so there's something about that, facing those fears or writing it out, that kind of, it begins that process. I believe that, like Daniel's even talking about as well, the visible change.
Absolutely. Writing that down, that's one of the most recommended ways. And there's so many ways, but thank you for putting that out. Dr. Nehal, I'm coming to you with your leadership capacity. How do stories influence leadership capacity?
Well, of course, stories are very much helpful because it's quite an inspiration for us and for others. Even myself being here today, it's a learning process for me. So again, I'm trying to know the different practices and different challenges. So again, if something I can relate to, if something I can maybe share with my students, share with my mentees. So again, it's really important. I'll just tap on the previous question because basically it goes back to assessing yourself, or maybe like self-evaluation at different times, because we change, we evolve over time. So this is very much important to look into. And of course, whatever is happening internally, definitely it reflects to whatever is visible. Sometimes maybe you have a certain belief or a certain value, but you're not well demonstrating, or you're not reflecting properly. So maybe sometimes you're more grounded over time, or you know how to do it over time. Sometimes, like, I'm always perceived, alhamdulillah, thank God, of being kind, and I always say kindness brings kindness. But the thing is, sometimes you have to reflect it differently, or practice it differently, because again, sometimes it's misperceived. So this is very much important to look into. Sometimes, of course, looking at different goals at different times. The role of stories in the daily life, of course, like a business professor, and like along with students all the time. So again, I hear stories, we pick out of it, and of course, when you hear a certain story, when you bring it back to the classroom, of course, maintaining confidentiality and all. But the thing is, the lessons learned, when it's easier for students to understand and relate, and maybe actually develop. I don't want to say change, but again, maybe adapt, or like practice things differently. One of the things, I've been a practitioner before being an academic. And as I mentioned, I come from an academic family, so it was the normal route, speaking about what you wish to become when you grow up. My dad is a business professor. My mom is an English teacher, and she was a school headmistress. So basically, I'm into academia some way or another. But I started working as a practitioner and in a consultancy firm in one of the ministries as well. So throughout my journey, I had the teaching on the side. So basically, I was teaching part-time basis, and then I decided, you know what, I want to have my academic career is the main career, and then whatever I do just to complement it. And it helped me a lot, because basically I was bringing those stories, the hands-on experience, to the classroom environment. This is how I felt I have genuine, authentic information to share. I have what it takes. I'm not just stating theories, and I'm just far from what's actually being done. So this is very much important. So this relates to the stories as well.
Dr. Nehal,
So
before that, I'm going to come back to you, and you're going to tell us more of your experience, because I feel like we have another question that will really go in depth into your experiences. But I want to hear it from you, Debbie. I hope you're in a position to really bring us your story. How do stories influence leadership capacity? Your mic, please.
I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Stories are absolutely the key. So there's a couple different stories, right? One is the story you tell yourself, like the old story that I shared earlier, not, maybe not smart enough, not good enough. So what stories, one, for you personally as a leader, are you telling yourself? Are you saying, women can't succeed? Is that a story you're saying? Women won't be a CEO of a company. Is that a story you're telling yourself? Because there's actually proof of the opposite in our society, right? Women do succeed. Women do get to the top. Women have exploded. So what are you telling yourself? And then there's stories in terms of teaching, right?
Yes.
So when you are sharing stories, that's when people learn. And as I said, my next book coming out is C-Suite Success. And I interviewed women who are in the C-suites of corporate America who made it to the top. And they share their stories. And so many of them share stories about being authentic. There was one gal who was a Democrat surrounded by Republicans. She was a gay woman in corporate America, and it was not out in the public. So she was hidden among many heterosexuals. She was a woman and all men worked around her. So she was different. And she shares that story of her showing up as her authentic self and realizing that you will succeed not despite of your uniqueness or that you're different, but you will succeed because of it, because you bring different perspectives. So her story that she shared about her environment will help others to become their authentic self and have the courage and know, okay, because I'm unique, I will succeed and I can be my authentic self. So it's a story that elevates people. So think of what stories you can share with others, that there's a lesson in there. If you always find the lesson in your life stories, you can empower yourself and continue to learn life lessons and empower others along the way. And also pay attention to the story you're telling yourself. Make sure it's an empowering one.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for sharing that lesson. Our unique selves, that is what makes us stand out. And I will repeat that because that is something that came across yesterday, and you topped it up with a very strong story to it. And I'm back to you, Danielle and Justine. What traits differentiate resilient leaders from high potential but fragile talent? Danielle.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing would be tolerance for rejection and audacity. I think when we think that when we get rejected, we feel like we fail. But if you're not putting yourself out there, then you're not getting rejected, right? I have a goal for myself this year to get rejected like at least 500 times, because it means that I'm just going for it. I'm going to have the audacity to swing big, and who knows where I'm going to land. But if I only put myself out there 20 or 30 times, then like I decrease my capacity for the yeses that I'm going to get to move forward. So I would say, your tolerance for rejection is one. I would say your belief that it is actually okay to disappoint people. We can't do everything. And especially as women, we hold a lot of emotional labor on our shoulders. We feel like we can't say no as often. So I think being able to say like, no, I understand what my vision is, and I'm going to stay committed to that because I just believe in it so much. And then I would also say the ability to hold ambiguity. I think when we are working towards something as a leader, or we're thinking about a business that we want to start or a project that we want to do, we are looking for certainty that it's going to work out. And none of us has control over that outcome. So I think the ability to hold that ambiguity and seek clarity and to realize that multiple things can be true at the same time and to be able to hold space for it all.
Wow. I'm right there with you when it comes to going for 100 times rejection. Go for it. I'm rooting for you. I'm also gonna be on that line. So that was very beautifully highlighted. Justine, what do you have to say?
Hey there. I am right there with both of you on that as well. The concept of just doing it scared. Do it scared, right?
Mhm.
Prove to yourself. Let's see what happens. To to this question, what comes to mind here for me is one word, conviction. So on my side, like I'm heavily convicted in the things that I'm doing, right? Am I stewarding it for the good? Like I believe in God, I believe in the kingdom, I believe that like he's greater, there's greater than me. And so there's a sense of like stewardship.
Yes.
And so when it comes to resilient leaders, I feel like you're dealing with people who they're anchored, right? We come back to that word. There's a couple of words going to keep coming back to probably, but they're anchored. And one of those anchors are their convictions. Um,
Mhm.
and they lead from that conviction. I would also say, and this one is again one of those in the process of becoming and continuing to refine it, being present. We
Mhm.
live in a world, especially in a space where like I work in automation, AI, and different things. It is constantly pulling on our attention, constantly asking for energy, um, conscious or subconscious. And coming from a technology background, where you program things, sometimes you don't realize that we ourselves are programmable. Like we are the ultimate programs. Um, and so, in that sense, the ability to hone staying present, like not necessarily doing the scrolling and being with someone in the moment and experiencing the moment, I feel like that is a key tenet to really being a leader. Um, and more and more, we have less and less of like that ability. I feel like it's definitely going to be a skill set that people have to be intentional about. Deplug, which is weird to hear a
Yes.
technologist say that, I know, but deplug or be very convicted on like what you're using XYZ tool or solution for and things, and when to step back, when to move forward. So that's my
Absolutely.
take on your question. Thank you.
Fantastic view, and I feel like so many of us relate to everything that you just said, especially being present, right? Uh, Dr. Nehal, I'm coming back to you, and then I want to hear from you, Debbie, as well. What guidelines no longer apply in today's fast-paced society? What do you tell your students?
Well, of course, when we talk about today, so basically it's continuous change. So basically, more flexibility, more adaptation, so adaptability, as well as, of course, not losing the human touch. So emotional intelligence is really important. Um, but it's about no border lines, but still we tell them you have to maintain values, you have to maintain especially respect, hierarchy, and so forth. You have to maintain, especially I insist on that, being professional, because females, if they don't act professional, they are misperceived in the workplace. Just is a challenge against their networking and expanding and getting things done. So basically, they have to act very professional, because there are sometimes some stereotypes about females, like not identifying their priorities or setting their priorities straight, or they don't know what needs to be done in the workplace. And again, this is a big differentiation, of course, between being feminine or being professional but still maintaining your femininity, so again, or identity, let's put it this way. So what you want to reflect to the workplace, what you want to reflect to the outside world. So this is very much important. I just want to tap on one what Justine mentioned, like when to step back or move forward. And again, for females, this is very much important.
Yes.
Actually, I've been facing something recently. Sometimes you have to know, of course, choose your battles, but you have to know when to let go. And this is sometimes that let go or of a position or a place, or maybe an achievement that you have achieved. So this is very much important, and you need to know how to act wisely while while you're losing ground.
Yes.
So this is a bit of a challenge for females, but and of course, if being rejected, how to act when being faced with that. So
Yeah.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Dr. Nehel, I just want to relate to what you said, knowing when to leave the battle. There's an African proverb where we say a woman needs to learn when to enter the market, when to stay in the market, and when to leave the market. So that
Yes.
was something that really captured my mind. Debbie, let's hear from you.
Yeah, that's a great question, because like guidelines have changed, right? And I think it was always that women would need to fit into a mold. And years ago, when you looked around, say in corporate America, or when there were women entrepreneurs, they were looking like men, like they were dressing more like in the suits, and they were fitting into a mold. I don't think there's a mold anymore. And what the key there is to be your authentic self, and that creates better and deeper relationships. I think a guideline also that has shifted is to keep your business life and your career life separate than your personal life. One of the stories I shared from a C-suite executive, she said, I look at my life before I had cancer and after I had cancer. And she said, what I found is after I had cancer, I became more open about things that were happening in my life. And that deepened the relationships that I had with my coworkers and also with even her clients. So it's sharing your true self authentically. And I think truly a guideline that is not there anymore is to keep your personal life out, because remember, we bring our true selves, our full selves, wherever we go to. And if we're leaving part of us at home,
Yes.
then how can you build a high trust relationship and have a great culture around you if you're hiding part of who you are?
Brilliant. I just have a very curious follow up to that. If I'm gonna bring my personal self and who I am today, what is the boundary? Is there a boundary that should be set, or just being me? Am I making sense? Like,
Yeah,
where's that
I think I
boundary?
understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
Obviously, look, if I'm home and I'd rather be in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, but I'm
yeah,
going to the office, obviously there are certain standards that you would live up to, right? And that's not sacrificing who I am. I'm also a businesswoman, right? I love to be at home in sweatpants, but I also love to put on a suit and be a professional woman. So there are certain places, but when it comes to building relationships and building high trust relationships, it's being a bit more vulnerable and a bit more of your authentic self. Like the gal I told you who was hidden in a closet in terms of her sexuality for so many years,
yes,
finally it came out, and she was so famous. She actually was on like the front page of the business section of the Wall Street Journal. Like that's how famous she was. And there was no other female executive who had shared her sexuality in this way. And when she first shared it, it was actually in a speech. And she said from that moment on, she was able to live her life in full color because she could be her authentic self. And she was totally accepted, and her relationships were even deeper.
yes,
So it helped in so many ways. But yeah, are there, certain ways to dress, in a way? I also know an executive who said, look, if I have to put a black suit on, I don't want the job because I'll probably put a pink one on. And I'm at
yes.
a conference with her right now, and she has a pink suit on. So there's part of you, use your judgment, you'll know,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah,
definitely
yeah.
open up a little more vulnerability.
I appreciate that. I'm seeing my timekeeper ringing that bell, and I want to hear briefly from each and every one of you. Let me just go to the last one. What stories deserve preservation for future generations? In short, what do you have to tell for future generations? I'll begin from you, Justin, briefly, and then we'll pass it on, and Debbie will conclude. Justin, over to you. Your mic, please.
Yeah. So it's sharing what I want to share with
Right.
the future generations.
Yes, briefly,
Yeah.
briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. Just empower yourself. You are in charge of how you feel. You're in charge of your thoughts, what you tell yourself. You're in charge of your actions. So take the responsibility for yourself, your career, your goals, and where you're going. And when you are empowered, and that's what this is
Yes.
about, right? Being your own superhero, empower yourself and go after your dreams. You can get them.
Thank you, Justine.
Absolutely. All right. So I want future generations to know that when it comes to leadership, faith, clarity, integrity, those are foundational. I don't want anyone to rush becoming. Um, I think the final thing I'd probably land on with that is that becoming isn't linear. There
Yes.
isn't just this one, like one, two, three, four steps. Sometimes it looks like a spider web, and that's completely fine and
Mhm.
actually even better to allow yourself to explore. And that's what I really want future generations to know. This the idea that your story is yours, right?
Yes.
And you don't have to rush that becoming. You don't have to rush the ending of the story. Enjoy the journey.
All right. Enjoy the journey and don't rush it. Danielle.
Yeah, I think the biggest story that I would want to preserve for future generations is that it's okay to be vulnerable, and vulnerability shows a tremendous amount of courage and strength. We learn just as much from when we get it wrong as like what we want to put out for the rest of the world to see in a social media highlight reel or, in a business article. But our failures and when we got it wrong yield some of the strongest lessons and change us the most. And I would also say that it's not just us, right? It's not just our individual achievements. It's having a mentality of collectivism and community and mutual aid, and how our stories are going to empower the next generation, how we are going to use our successes to
Yes.
advance society forward. We don't operate in a silo. So, how can we help our neighbor and communities through
Mhm.
what we achieve? Ask for help. It's okay. We are social creatures. We don't have to do it alone.
All right. Ask for help. And Dr. Nehal, briefly, what is your final take for future generations? Your mic, please. There we
Over
go.
and over, I'll say you have to keep on learning more about yourself, believe in yourself, and of course, try to be always proud of who you are. Don't allow anyone to tell you anything different or to lower you or to be less than you. You have to know that you're powerful, you're unstoppable if you believe that, and that there's a beauty in everything, even in imperfection. There's a beauty in that. Everyone has something to show, so just identify what is it. And again, you have to grow stronger and more confident over time, and surround yourself with people who actually emphasize on that, because we always we want reassurances in life, so try to be around all of those people. And I would love to request to be part of Debbie's next book, and I love to meet those lovely leaders soon once more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. As for me, my word for future generations, just follow these leaders. These brilliant leaders. Follow them on their LinkedIn. Their details are there. And as we wrap up, ladies, it was an awesome time spending time with you. I took a lot of notes. My notes is stuck. I enjoy learning from you. And we still have more gathers. We welcome you back. So it was a gather. It was a good gather. Our gather was well for this first roundtable panel. Over to you, GatherVerse team.